live now?
We are almost live. We
Sawazi,
are setting up your meeting. Huh?
I was asking Sawazi, how do you spell suing?
All right, just let me. When I do it, I'm gonna put on here.
We are live on YouTube.
Okay, let's go ahead and.
Copy.
We're on live on YouTube.
Share.
Apparently, Zoom and Facebook are suing each other, so we kept getting kicked off. Something we didn't know, but
that's what we think, and that's what we're sticking to.
Yes.
Well, we have 15 minutes left of the show, guys. So.
All right, I'm tagging you guys in the post right now.
Okay.
Share it and let's get to work.
All right. This is kind of funny, actually. If this ever became something where people actually watched, at least we can go back. Do you remember that time, 4th episode, we went live like 8 times?
Remember the time we went live and nobody in the world could watch? Because we thought people were really interested, and just come to find out they really weren't. All right, post to Facebook. All right, we're live on YouTube. Facebook was not cooperating, so we're just gonna do it and just go from there. Whatever happens, happens.
Can you still see me?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not black.
The very epic background you have.
What does it mean? What's the word? Like awful at computer stuff.
When you're awful at computer stuff? You're being a Sawazi if you're awful at computer stuff.
I'm trying to tell Dwight.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Are we
By
live?
the way, this episode is called, yes, we're live. This episode is called
100%.
into the Carlos Aguilar and Tara Halleck's Blue Halleck's Aguilar relationship.
This episode's brought to you by What Could Go Wrong Does Go Wrong. Hey, I don't know. Zoom got the corona. That's all I'm saying.
Zoom's got the corona. My corona. All right, guys. All right, so let's go back to when we started. Master Turner, why don't you tell everybody about the ATA Tricks battle?
All right, I'm gonna do this super fast. ATA Tricks battle coming up. We just announced who's doing it. I'm just kidding. So ATA Tricks battle, we just put it out there. We had 14 people submit videos. Boom, we put them into a bracket. We ranked them 1 through 14, not necessarily based on their truest skill, based on the videos that they put out. So whatever they put into the video, we kind of ranked them due to the combination they threw, the cleanliness of it, the difficulties. So we ranked them 1 through 14. We pretty much came up with a top 8 seed, and the top 8 seed are pretty seeded right now. Then the bottom 6 are going to battle their way into that top 8 in the first week. That could possibly change. We know we had a couple people reach out about still trying to get some last minute entries, but we're going to do that going next week. We're going to be doing it live from YouTube, so this is giving us a chance to figure it out right now. But it's going to happen every Saturday starting on the 11th, and then on the 18th and following that, every Saturday we'll have the battle. Time, we're working on that right now. I have a conference call with all the competitors on Sunday to figure out, because we have people from all over the country and actually all over the world. We actually have Ignacio Rodriguez all the way from Chile who will be competing as well in this live trick battle.
Chile.
Pretty cool. Chi, le, viva Chile. So it's gonna be pretty awesome. We're calling the ATA Quarantine Trick Battle, even though this is not officially hosted by ATA. It is something that pretty much putting on ourselves. It's something that we're kind of passionate about. We think it'd be kind of fun, and we're also going to be offering a $500 cash prize. $500 worth of cash prizes to first, second, third, and fourth place finishers. So they kind of get a breakdown on the financial gain and some fun with that. What's also going to be pretty cool about this is that not everyone, of course, can get to a gym right now. So some of them may be tricking in their living room. Some of them might be tricking in their front yards. So it's going to be real cool. It kind of equals the playing field across the board. So tune in for that. I'll read off some of the names that we have competing. We have Braden Myers, Jacob Tolentino, Jack Harkins, Brandon Evans, which I didn't really know about this kid. This kid is ridiculous. Daniel Rivera.
Wait, Sangam too?
Sangam too, yeah.
Hey,
That kid.
hey, I've been watching
that
this
kid-
dude for like a couple years now. Mm-hmm.
That kid's legit.
Tolentino.
Ignacio Rodriguez, I said. Daniel Rivera, Ethan Feinschreiber, Brooks Kong, Siebert, Alex Law, Johnny Lodemeyer, Michael Raffle, Kevin Walls, Eric Fernandez, Andrea Guzman representing the females out there. So
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
these kids
He's my belt.
are world champions through and through, but this is something that many of them maybe haven't done before. Actual trick battle. It's a little bit different. It's going to be some fun, entertaining stuff. It's going to be pretty much every week, so it'll be like a week by week. You got to progress your way through it and then go from there. Master Swazi, myself, Mr. Van Eck are some of the main judges for that one. And we also have a couple special. Don't make that face, Master Aguilar.
Honey, he didn't want me on there. It was one of my ideas, but he didn't want me on there.
Anyways, so and then we have a couple special guest judges. I don't want to say who they are right now, but they are, huge names in the ATA and just in martial arts in general. Maybe we'll have Master Aguilar stop in and give us some words of advice.
He can be the announcer.
But yeah,
He can be the Master Skiles of the ATA trick battle.
so that's what's happening here pretty soon with the ATA quarantine trick battle. So, everybody, hopefully you guys can tune in and watch it. But this is Sparring Words. This is our take 17,000 of our live cast, episode 4. If you were with us in the beginning and you're still with us now, we love you. If you didn't want to make the switch over to YouTube, we understand.
No. It's a good learning lesson.
typically-
You need to adapt right now. It's adapting times. So switch over
Pivot.
to YouTube.
You gotta learn to pivot. Eventually, I think we do want to go live strictly from YouTube. I think the
Maybe that's
content is a
what we're
little
gonna start doing
clearer
from now
here.
on anyway.
Yep. So subscribe down below to the channel. You don't have to, but consider it. Well, typically what we do here, we talk about all things martial arts. We go through about 3 different topics. Tonight's topics, we have back in my day, like a way back when. We have the verses, which we call stars versus bars. And then we have a would you rather. So I'll let Master Swazi and Master Aguilar take it over from here. Let's keep rolling.
So we left off, and the topic was, to recap some people if they are joining in, is that back in the days, if this pandemic was happening in 2003, 2004, how would you get your message across without Zoom, without the technology that we have? Speaking of technology, thank the Lord. So I left off as that. Obviously, I would create my MySpace page for our school. Use the codes. See, we were the first ones to use coding. I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if you guys actually coded the backdrop of your MySpace page. That included music too. Okay, so you're not that old, or you're not that young then. So you guys are making me feel bad because you're making me feel like I'm like 10 years older then. And so if I were to add the top 10 or top 8 on my MySpace now, that can help me get through this, I would probably add, make it in a nutshell, obviously our Kickforce family one, local businesses, and probably somebody like the ATA. And then other than that, though, I just probably post videos on MySpace, and that's about it, though. YouTube was back around, or back alive back then, but the quality wasn't as good as it now. But I never used YouTube back in the old days, so I don't know about YouTube. So I'd probably stick to MySpace. That's how I would do. And the people that had
Hey, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Anthony Pine made it to the YouTube comment section.
We've arrived.
He
All right,
said
Pine,
this
you're
is
our
like
first guest.
he said this is like Where's Waldo? And he said, and I'd probably just use the hot air balloon. Pine, it wouldn't be a sparring. You may have to become the fourth host. You
I
are
think I'm
entertaining.
right. Pine is at least our guest on Sunday for sure, right?
Yeah.
Can we just go ahead and
Sunday
say
we
that?
will connect.
All right.
Yep. Pine. Let's vote for Pine. So
But yeah,
that's-
I think
I would
Sorry.
stick to MySpace as my number one, not YouTube, not emails, not AOL Messenger. I'd probably stick to MySpace.
so. You didn't answer my question when we asked you earlier. I said, "Who is in your top 8?
Non-AKA
Who is
people.
on your MySpace?"
I just want to know what his song was in the background.
Yin Yang Twins.
Which one?
To the window.
No,
Salt Shaker.
no,
Let me
it's
see
The whisper song.
no, not the Whisper song. The other one. Gosh, it's been a
I know
while.
that crowd
Was this the
has no
Mexican
rhythm.
remix?
This
Was
is not
this-
suavemente, besame.
But it was the Yin Yang Twins though. That was my one. So, but I gotta
All right.
give it. But anyways,
Mine
I
was
would
probably like Nelly. Either some Nelly or some B2K.
bum 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 bum.
Sure.
Mine definitely changed every week when it came to the songs. I did anything from, like you're saying, Nelly. I know for sure at one point that Neo, So Sick of Love Songs was one of them. I was a simp even back then, guys.
Did you dedicate that song like to?
I didn't know any of my ex-girlfriends at that time. That's Aguilar, so no. All right, next question. All right, Master Turner, you go.
I would be on YouTube, but yeah, I think we would 100%. I would go the other route. I would probably be definitely on the YouTube side, but I get MySpace was definitely good. I totally forgot about MySpace. It was very confusing. I remember when like Facebook
Well,
first
what
got
grade were you guys in? What grade were you guys in when MySpace came out?
Middle
6, maybe
school.
7. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when Facebook came out when I was in like middle school still, and or maybe like in high school, and they're like, "Oh, Facebook's for the college kids," and like
Yeah, I didn't hop on
MySpace is
Facebook.
for high school.
I didn't hop
took a
on
while.
Facebook until I don't know, probably high school.
Yeah.
So
Did you guys have
Same.
AOL Instant Messenger? Is the question though.
Oh, for sure.
yes.
I didn't.
I still remember my name, REY333ET. Hey, Ray, because of Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio was
Wait,
it.
You like Rey Mysterio?
Oh, for sure. That's Ray, REY, because he spelled his name REY. 3
Okay.
is my favorite number.
No,
3
no, wait.
times ET.
No, let's go back.
Evan
Let's
Turner.
go back. This is a curveball. You liking Rey Mysterio, 619 San Diego, and you could have asked me. I have a friend of mine that's really good friends with Rey Mysterio. I could have gotten like that virtual meetup.
This is impactful right now. This was meant to be. Yo, Rey Mysterio and Billy Kidman were my favorite 2 wrestlers.
No. Now, okay, talk about wrestlers. If you were to pick top 3 wrestlers,
I mean, I only need 2. I need Rey Mysterio and Billy Kidman. That's all I need.
that's it.
That's it, man. Shooting star press. The top
Mine
ropes.
was Rob Van Dam. And,
Okay.
Yeah, Rob Van Dam and
Where's Jared Boyd when you need him? I
Eddie
don't know what the
Guerrero.
hell's going on.
Oh, I'm
Rest
sure
in
he'd
peace,
be
Eddie
going
Guerrero.
crazy right now. Anyways, we digressed. So that was our way back. Was what would we do if this happened way back when? Now our stars.
Next
versus
topic,
bars, which
please.
is our versus competition, our versus topic. What was it for today? I already forgot. We've had this so many tries.
It was okay. We had
champion.
a couple options actually, but I think the one that we chose was the idea between would you rather Oh no,
No,
stars
no,
versus
no,
bars.
that-
Sorry,
that's
stars
the
versus
last
bars
topic.
was mastership versus winning your first world title. And would you prefer to have won that world title or have won?
What's kind of more meaningful?
Yeah, what's more meaning, mastership or like a triple crown world title?
All right, Master Aguilar.
Nobody heard my question because of his dogs. He's jumped the fence, guys. All right, so once again, the question was,
So versus
what is more important,
meaningful?
mastership
What's
or
more-
winning a world title? Your first one.
Meaningful or important?
Meaningful, more important. It can all be kind of summed up to one thing. Which it is an opinion thing. Which do you value or hold higher? I guess.
So I think it's definitely changed, unfortunately, over the years, and I think it's changed, and then it also flip flop and went back. So I think, especially in our generation, the master title was such a big deal because it was so limited. So I think that's something that, especially for our generation, we definitely looked into, and we looked up to, and we were like, wow, because it was. I remember the master ceremony where they could fit all the masters on stage on the rocks, and 30 maybe max. I remember it's like the number where I was like, well, that's a lot. And then they started went back and they used to have the opening ceremonies at the Verizon Arena when they started filling into the crowd. I was like, whoa, this is getting a little much. So I think back then it was definitely pristine. But then at the same time, winning a world title when I know you've been around ATA a lot longer than I have, and Master Aguilar as well. When you had to win forms and sparring to win the title, when it was like a top 4, that was
yes.
if you won then it was different. And then as they added more and more events, and the divisions got bigger and bigger, and I say divisions got bigger, but actually they ended up getting smaller and smaller. They broke up the ranks a lot more. So I mean, I don't know how many titles are technically earned a year between every division. I mean, you got to think there's a lot. I mean, let's say that if no one ever won, let's say that everybody only won one title, like you didn't win forms and weapons or sparring and extreme. Like if only one title was won per person, how many total titles would there be? So I think it took the pristine out of it, and not nothing against them, because I've had students win at that age. But sometimes when you see a 6-year-old walk around or a 7-year-old with a world title on their back, the same year you won your title, you're like, well, what I went through and what they went through, even though they're the same events, or you can both be sparring titles, they're looked at in two totally different facets and two totally different lights. Not to say that there's not significance to winning it, but I just feel like flip-flop kind of happening. At one point in time, it's all about master, but first probably winning the title is really, really hard because of the just the demographics of things.
So what's your answer? What do you hold higher?
Which one do I hold higher right now? My mastership.
For you personally.
My mastership. Because for me as a martial artist, that was my last goal that I wanted to accomplish as a martial artist. Winning a title was great, traveling the world, but as a personal martial artist, the last thing I can honestly say, I didn't get my mastership from my students, right? I got it from me. Now it's the last true thing that I needed for my own personal journey as a martial artist. Not saying it's done, of course, but that was it.
All right. Master Aguilar, which one do you hold higher? Your first world title or your mastership?
I hold mastership higher because I think it's a lifelong journey. So I hold that higher. But which one would I want to fight for right now? I would have loved to be because people don't know this, because I lost that prior competition, but I never liked forms, never liked extreme. I've always liked sparring. And if I were to choose right now at this very minute, if I was a 5th degree black belt, sparring world champion, or a master, I think I would choose to go for a sparring world title.
You are
Interesting.
the California state champion right now in sparring, though. Shout out to COVID-19. Shout out to
Wow.
COVID-19 for making
Hey,
Carlos
you
Aguilar
can legit
the
say
state
you have
champion.
a state title. You have a state title over CL in sparring. Because you guys are both from the same state.
Turnus is jealous.
He's what?
He will eat his chips like that in front of me at all times from now on.
I don't think we have a state champion in New Jersey in the Masters division. I don't think anyone won. I could be wrong, and if you did, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go out on a limb.
It was probably you.
I didn't even compete it. I made
So yeah.
Oh, okay.
So selfishly, if I could choose one that I can be right now, sparring world champion. But which one do I hold to a higher standard? No offense to the world champions, is mastership though. Because
which do you think was harder? The journey to your master or the journey to your first title? Because I'm sure we've all had those seconds.
yeah, the first time I got to top 10 for sparring, I got Peter Wilbur knocked me 5-0. You guys don't remember Peter Wilbur. Peter Wilbur was a bad dude. Probably knows Peter Wilbur. And so
he's not here to comment or validate anything you just said, so I don't know.
10.
When it comes to, for me, about which one do I hold higher, which one means more to me, I would tell you, I agree with Master Aguilar said, and I also agree with Master Turner said. I'm kind of in the middle. I hold the mastership, to make this quick, to a higher standard, and it means a lot to me. Which one, once again, I'm kind of on the same page with Master Aguilar. Did I work harder for? Did I, want more than anything? Was definitely my first world title. Even to this day, when I teach, I talk more about the hardships that I went through for my world title. In an idea of never giving up, but determination, because there was a lot of trials and tribulations, if you don't know, that made me get there. And then also at the time when I won my first world title, I won it in 2000, which so happened to be the first year you could win a forms world title. So thank you guys. I was able to be one because I wasn't gonna be no sparring one anytime soon. I was so small, but I would tell you guys that right there was so monumental for me and my growth as a personal human being.
So for those that are just jumping in, we're doing our verses right now, and the topic is, what do you hold to a higher esteem, I guess would be the right way to kind of phrase it. Your mastership or a world title. And the three of us are very fortunate to have now gone through both, winning world titles plus going through and earning our mastership. And I think it's definitely one of those things that it's your own personal journey, because every one of our paths to each one of those has been completely different. From our world titles to mastership, we've all had to go through different circumstances to achieve it. And what I would also ask is, which one do you think has I don't know, not so much give you more notoriety, but major I'm here moment? Which one was like, wow,
world champion?
I did it
easily.
Mastership, I think so.
I would say master for me too.
Just because
mine is definitely world champion.
Just because it's so hard. You don't think about the obstacles. Remember those teaching moments when you were working, when you want to go teach, when you're like, I want to quit martial arts. I left martial arts. You come back and you think about all that stuff. And ultimately, I think that's, I would say master. So there's a lot more stuff.
Once again, I
agree.
kind of on the opposite page of both of you guys for this one, at least, because of the idea that for me, everything has been always predicated for me that, CL Sawazi can do this, can do that, can do this, can do that. And so for me, it's like I was never the best at any of them, but I was able at least to hold my own. And I would say that I don't have the like people look at Master Turner and they go, "Wow, he's influential in this."
Fat.
Master Aguilar is influential in that. You know, like I would say everything, all of my success in the organization has been predicated on the fact that people would want to listen to me because of I actually was able to do it, or they look at me and they go, "Wow, I want to do it like that." I sometimes do envy you two on your ability to be successful, not using your physical ability.
I agree. So what you're saying is that most people looked at you solely as a competitor first.
Oh,
Your
even to
skill
this
set.
day,
Yeah.
even to this
I
day,
get it.
everybody always looks at me as like a competitor first. Master Turner, we talked about in our first episode. You need to go back and watch that, about how nervous I would get because of the pressure that everybody. I was like, if I got second place, people would come to be like, "Who beat you?" And I'm like, the other guy that was in the ring. Like, everybody has a chance to win, and that pressure of always having to win, especially on the East Coast at that time when it was smaller.
So we're gonna head over to the comment section real quick. These guys are having fun. But Anthony Pine asked, "What hurt more, losing the opportunity for a sparring world title or getting hit in the head by the B-Rung Bong?" Hey, that B-Rung Bong hurt. Hey, Master Inho was like, "Ah!" I was like, "All right." That thing hurt. I don't know about y'all, but I know he hit me dead in my forehead.
As a side note, that mastership, and next time we should talk about our mastership journey a little bit because it's kind of entertaining. Shout out to all the masters that were grandmasters now. They were grandmasters now, up there making me laugh the entire time. They were making funny faces, looking at me like, "Hey, are you sure you should get master?" Like, oh, attaboy. Like, shout out to them because I appreciate that. It made it special, actually.
All right, next topic.
All right, here we go.
Right?
Last topic of the night. Thank you guys so much for staying with us. So last topic of the night is our would you rather. So this one's kind of interesting. Still going off the topic, and right now we understand that ATA is in a limbo spot. Where they had to officially end the tournament season. But again, congratulations to those who won their titles. It's not their fault they won. It's not their fault they won. I know many people are upset because they could have the chance to win, and you know what? It's just the circumstance of what it is. Their ATA is, I'm sure, doing their best. We have no inside information. This is just our own personal opinions about what's going on. We have zero inside information. But I'm sure, judging by the reason we have a tournament council, the reason they have a tournament department, even at that, is everything was discussed in full retrospect, and this was just seemed to be the best circumstances, so people like Master Aguilar could win their titles through and through. But
he went on a lockout year.
All right,
he's there.
That's
so the
fine.
Last topic.
It's fine. I've never sparred Evan, and I've only sparred Sawazi one time, and Sawazi will tell you how that ended. And so it's all right.
When did we spar? What were we spar? Oh my God, was it the turkey beatdown?
Yeah, and remember, someone had to do the timeout. I'm done, but it's all right. That's another topic.
Nobody did timeout. I went out and had another turkey beatdown. Is what I had.
Well, okay. All right. So, anyways,
all right. We'll have an actual sparring words and actual sparring in it. We'll do a live sparring words.
I gladly welcome both of you guys sparring. Actually, you know what? You're lying. The last time I sparred you, I tore my hamstring because I tried to number 2 round kick you in the gut.
Didn't work out too well though.
I'm old. Right. That's what happened.
But we digress. So our last topic is a would you rather. Would you rather have a school with 500 active students, but 0 of them compete, or 50 competitors and legit top 10 world champ level every single student?
We know Sawazi's answer. I'll go with 500 students easily. Because
I agree.
One of those 500 will end up being, I don't know, somebody that just ends up, opening up a school and inspiring more people and continuing the legacy. So keep it short and sweet.
Master Swazi, how about you?
Well, you said you agree, and you also agree, so I kind of feel obligated to agree. But actually, honestly, I do agree. I think that having the positive impact across 500 is more important than having somebody learn how to do a proper front kick. As a side note, I've had multiple instructors, but most people think and would guess that Chief Master Skiles is my instructor. And the reason why I kind of gave him that recognition a lot of times, not that he instilled the love for it, because that's something that Master Minde did, not somebody who taught me to be good at martial arts. That's something that Mr. Riggs and Chief Master Archmont did. But the person who taught me how to be a human being on this earth, and how to carry myself the correct way, and taught me more than martial arts is Master Skiles. And so that's what I would strive to do, more than teaching somebody a great front kick, round kick, side kick. And plus, they probably wouldn't get it anyway.
So in the comment section real quick, one question was, how much can I charge them? Scott Benton said CL would make all 500 of them compete anyways.
Yes. That's a part
So
of growing.
I
guys.
agree.
That's part of learning.
Oh, you came with 500 students? We'd have epic inter-school tournaments. Forget that.
Epic.
I agree. I would go the route of 500 students that didn't really compete. Not that you can't create a level of competition within your school, but I also think that sometimes, and a lot of reasons why many schools maybe don't send as many competitors is because I think a lot of times if I send a student to a tournament and they have a bad experience and they want to come back and quit from my school because of the experience that someone else created for them, maybe. And I'm not, again, this is just playing devil's advocate to everything. And let's say they had a bad experience because of whatever the case may be, right? Then they come back and then they want to quit. So that could be one reason that maybe people don't send students, right? I know personally in my own school, with my student active count, I could probably send a lot more students, but I view competition as a very serious thing. I don't tell my students they have to compete. I say, if you want to compete, then you compete with the ability to win. And we send students who have the chance to win. So we send, 20 to 30 students to go compete. And, whether they all win or not is not as important to me, but I like knowing that most of them do come back with a medal. So I'm not super big in making students compete. I get, we have a C-class tournament like that, but
I can't, I'm irritated.
Go ahead.
I'm irritated with the statement because, if somebody leaves my studio because they had a bad experience at another tournament, that means you didn't instill anything that requires people to understand persevering and understand also people. Like, in this world, you just can't quit because you had a bad experience somewhere. Like, I hate that excuse for people.
I get it.
People use it all the time. I don't send my students because what if they have a bad experience at this karate tournament and then they want to quit my karate studio? Man, that means you didn't do a good job of teaching.
But if you're
I'm sorry.
No, but if your bills are paid from your students training at your school, would you rather, and that these students are the ones who pay your bills, are you willing to put that risk into somebody else? Whether no matter how good of a teacher you are or not, you had to look at the livelihood as yourself as the owner.
Bro,
I'm not disagreeing with you.
I had a bad experience when I went and tried to apply for college, so I'm never going to apply again. Or I had a bad experience of trying to get a job at such and such, so I'm never going to try to get a job again. Like, man, bump that. I hate that. That means the people that were around you did not do a great job, and you did not learn.
So let me ask you this,
like to be on this earth.
Let me ask you this, Awazi. You have a complaint in life, and then like you throw your complaints towards, I don't know, you go to a restaurant and you have a horrible experience and you complain about the restaurant and blah, 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 blah. Are you going to blame your parents or are you going to blame the restaurant people that give you the bad service? Because the way that I was brought up is the fact.
Great question.
If something doesn't work your way, that's fine. People make mistakes. You move on. So I'm
going to tell you this to answer your question about the restaurant. I love burritos, and I go to eat to a Mexican restaurant, and I have a bad burrito. Doesn't mean I hate all burritos. doesn't mean that another burrito can't be good. Doesn't mean I can't
Yeah,
have a
but-
quesadilla next time. It doesn't mean that I can't have a chalupa from Taco Bell. Bro, there are so many different life lessons that are learned inside the tournament circuit that people are afraid because they're afraid that they will be held accountable for teaching it the right way. And they don't want to do more.
Yeah, no, but
yes and no. I mean,
Yes
I
and no.
don't get me wrong.
Yo,
I agree.
I'm sorry,
I
bro.
agree that-
I agree. I'm just saying, people are lazy. People always, I get calls. Do you guys have a world champion training program? No, we don't. We just care.
and we don't care.
But you're
We
taking on another
decided
level
to do
again.
more.
But remember,
No.
you chose you'd have 500 students who never competed.
Yeah, because I think I can teach them that without competition as well. Competition
Agreed,
is an
agreed.
added benefit.
But
I'm-
if you could,
a kid can learn those lessons without competition. That boils down to the instructor.
I agree. But at the same time, if I'm teaching those life lessons, and let's say that they do go have a bad experience to the point where they could end up getting injured, hurt, whatever the case may be, and it could not be a fault of somebody else's. It could be the student's fault blatantly, right? Whatever the case may be. But then now they say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. No matter how well you prepare them, we've all had that happen in certain cases. Again, the case maybe that you're having right now, with the fact of the situation in San Diego, was not always a case for all the schools that you've been at and taught at, right? So we have, no matter how well you can teach somebody, you can't train them to have a certain feeling about something. So if they go out and they have a bad experience, not due to the fact that they weren't prepared, right? Or not, and then maybe the other bad judges, whatever it could be a way that someone talked to them, maybe because they didn't know how to line up a certain way. They got to the tournament, they were lost, they were confused, they had a bad experience. They showed up without their sanjabong. They could have got hurt just because they tripped. And now they say, you know what, I don't want to compete anymore. Or they can even say, you know what, I just don't want to do martial arts anymore because I was told I was so good, and then I found out that I wasn't. Again, that's a life lesson that should be.
Who lied to you?
Calm down. Calm
Whoa,
down.
whoa. We're so
Let
good.
me finish.
Yo, time out.
Let
We
me
never
finish.
tell any of our students that you can go there and just beat everybody. If you're an instructor
me
who tells
finish.
people that if you do this my way, you're going to win, then you're not really explaining them about life at all either.
What I'm saying is that the fact of you can be the big fish in a little pond and have a bad experience. Not saying that you're not good enough, because you could be. And
Well,
and
once again, that's on the instructor. That's on the
I don't think
instructor
so.
to be able to teach
The
that lesson.
instructor can't do that 100% themselves.
No,
Not all the
That's
time.
accountability
I'm
to
not
the
going to.
parents. That's accountability.
This is a good topic. Maybe we should start this back off again because
it's all around. No, but what I'm saying though, the reason I would choose 500 because I know that I can control the circumstance of those 500 students. There's no outside. There's no outside information.
No. I'm choosing 500 because of I want to change 500 lives who are positive, and I want them to grow out into this world and create another, 500 each. I'm not choosing them because I want to play it safe that they won't get their feelings hurt.
No, but
Come
the
on,
reason I
man.
choose 500 is because there's no outside information being mixed in.
Oh, so your way is the only way in this life. The best
No, not
thing that
necessarily.
happens when you have interaction with other people is that you learn. And
But
our business is
but CL, Carlos, you can jump in on this too in a second. But what I'm saying is that I'm not saying I wouldn't have interaction. You could definitely still have interaction, but at the same time, if you look at it as a business standpoint, as your livelihood, if my life depends on it, my bills depend on it, my family depends on it, would I rather my circumstances be controlled 100% by me? 100%. That's the way I'm looking at it.
So then do a better job. Okay, now I'm going to give you 1 point and the fact that in majority you can't satisfy everybody. Right? So the whole idea of like 100 and 500 blah blah blah, but that's 100% of something, that's hard to do. But I'm saying more often than not, if things are taught the right way, I just told you Master Skiles is my instructor. I like most people ask me who my instructor is, and I go Master Skiles. It's because he taught me more than punching and kicking. I did win a world title underneath him, but that's not the thing that I hold to the highest level. And I think that's important for instructors and students to learn. You know, like in this life, you have to interact with people. Think about it this way. We're quarantined and we're still interacting with each other. We
Uh,
have to learn how to listen to
fine.
each other's points of view.
All right. I'm gonna say this because I gotta go. This is my last statement.
Okay, go ahead.
I think I agree with you, Sawazi, and trust me, if Turner, you, me, and everyone else didn't believe in the same mission, we wouldn't dedicate our lives to do this. You know, but I'll put it this way. You know, my mom and my parents have always taught me, you know, you can do it, you can go, and they've taught me other stuff like you need to respect, you need all this stuff, you know, and so they teach me all these valuable lessons. But afterwards, they throw me out into the world, and once they throw me out in the world, then from right there, I have to figure it out. And there's times in which, whether it's been other people or whether it's in the business world, let's just say, for example, and they've told me like, Carlos, you suck. Like, Carlos, you're not good at that. And then there's times in which I doubt myself and I say, oh crap, maybe I'm not that good, or maybe I'm not that great. And all those doubts come in as a grown man. Imagine a child that their martial arts instructor said, you can do this, you got it. However, though, you need to behave. When we send them out to a tournament and they go to a tournament and you've got somebody with high authority, like an 8th degree black belt, a 7th degree black belt, and tells them, that was horrible, son. And they're going to have doubts as well, too. We've had life experiences where we can say, all right, you know what? I'm not going to listen to what they have to say. But as a child, though, that's a lot to take in. So I do disagree in the fact that if you send there are times in which tournaments sometimes veer kids away from martial arts because there are some judges and there's some instructors that they have to feel higher about themselves. So they put other people down or they act, and that's just out of our control. Doesn't matter what the parents do, what as instructors do. There's just sometimes people with low self-esteem, even our industry, that put people down so they can make themselves feel better. And it's out of our control. And it has nothing to do with the instructor, because between all three of us, we've all taught the same amount of hours, probably the same amount of people, and so on. And that's just something that I've learned.
I completely agree. And I think sometimes as an instructor, and I think the three of us, we would say we're all great instructors. Flat out,
I
we
don't
can say
consider
that.
myself a great instructor. I really don't, but keep going. I consider you one, not me.
We're all considered. I think we would both consider you guys, or you consider a great instructor. But even at that, as great as an instructor as there's phenomenal instructors across the country right now, everyone is losing students, right? And it could be whatever the reason may be. But you could say, but I'm such a good instructor, but why am I still losing students? Same concept. You could be the best instructor and still lose students due to a tournament, no matter how good of an instructor you are. And I agree that you should be teaching them how to compete before they go to compete. And they should earn the right to go compete because they've learned how to do it first. But sometimes an outside source could dictate sometimes the way that student would feel. And now you'd have to work 2 times as hard, and not saying you shouldn't, to retain them. But sometimes an outside source could be a reason that student left. Now, all the hard work you did to get a student, and you let someone else, I shouldn't say you let them, but someone else's outside influence maybe could be the reason they left. I'm not saying it's not good. Hey, we all send students to compete. We all compete. I think we all agree that competition is good. That's why we send so many students to do it to begin with. But in a case, if I had the choice, if I had a 500 student base, you can create that same level of competition within your student base. And yes, you could change more lives or whatever. But
still
I don't think you
so
can
much
change.
Control.
All right, guys, I gotta go.
Okay, bye, Master Aguilar. We probably should close the show off anyway.
I gotta go see my family. Bye, guys. I'll see you Sunday, though.
You're good.
Bye. See you
all
Sunday
good, yes.
with our guests. Master T, once again, I guess I agree with the idea of having control. I think lessons are learned the most, and that's up to our seniors. That's up to our parents. That's up to our instructors to be able to let the youth understand that you don't have control over everything. My parents didn't. If it was my instructors or my parents' way every single time, then I would have never had a bad experience at a tournament. People think that people like you, Turner, or myself, or Master Aguilar, and some of these students, I look at like a Hannah Zaiton who wins, very well all the time because she's a great competitor. Olivia Palumbo at our school, who has endured so much success. They look at those people as if they don't have bad experiences at tournaments. And I think that's I think it's a quote cop out. And I feel that even those people who have had success, they've had to deal with those times where they've had a bad experience. And I think a bad experience is a part of life. This quarantine, this COVID-19, this virus is a bad experience. And if you're going to tell somebody, if you're going to shy them away from experiences that where a person can grow and a person can learn about themselves and learn how to face the challenges, what we're on belief right now in our organization, you just completely scratched out determination. And I mean, in the book, it literally says talking about, no matter the circumstances, the challenging circumstances, having a bad experience is a bad circumstance, right?
Correct. I'm not disagreeing with you. Trust me.
So
You've seen me in a bathtub crying due to it, and you learn from those things. We've all had students who come back with a bad experience as instructors, great instructor, whether you want to believe yourself is to be or not. You can overcome those obstacles. I'm not saying you shouldn't have those experiences. Yes, I agree. You should have experiences that teach you hardship. I think it's important for everybody, kids, adults, everyone needs to have those hardships and needs to have those trials and tribulations to overcome, because those obstacles are what allow you to then become something bigger. I see people commenting, it's about the reward is the journey. I agree. Having those ups and downs, when you fail and you fail and you fail and you finally succeed, that sometimes means more than the title itself, because of the journey it took to get there. So I agree. Tournaments in that sense are 100%. I'm looking at it solely as a case. If I'm a school operator, my livelihood is through my student base.
And if your livelihood is through your student base, it is your job and it is your chance to hit a home run. You are not always going to hit a home run, but you have the chance now to make that student a lifer because of you going up and beyond.
What if ATA had no tournaments?
I don't think it's as big. I mean, I really don't. I don't think that. I do believe that we can grow.
If ATA had no tournaments, so you in your school is known as the #1 elite tournament school, quote unquote. Even though I know that you guys are 100%. Okay, you don't like to think a lot of things about yourself. But your school is known for having phenomenal martial artists because of the care that all of the instructors put into the students and the work ethic that you guys have.
By the way,
correct, because that's what you guys have instilled in them, right?
Okay.
But at the same time, would your students still not have that same drive if they weren't competing?
The answer is yes.
I agree. I bet the answer is yes too, because
I would
of the
say
way
that
you guys teach.
the way you teach, and that's my point. The tournament circuit should not be a hindrance to your program. It should be an added benefit. If it is a negative to your program, there's something along the message that's being received and given by the instructor that's wrong, if that makes sense. Or it's not being, the communication link is not quite there, if that makes sense. And that's my point. I don't like the idea of the tournament circuit being a cop-out for not, because they're gonna have a bad experience as to why somebody would not want to send their child there. I can see is, maybe we're not ready yet. Okay, well, would you want to think you're gonna be ready in 3 years? Because those kids that are already competing are going to already be competing, so they're going to be even more higher.
But we've all had students who earn black. But we've all had students who earned black belts that didn't compete, and it wasn't because competition wasn't important for them.
Yes, I have had plenty of students that are black belts that could be world champions, but chose not to compete, and that's their own personal choice. I may have added them to because I wanted them to because of certain lessons I want to learn, or maybe I wanted them to have some more accolades, and also for selfish reasons. I'm like, man, my student's good. Like, I want you to do more, please. But I just don't like that idea of it being. I'm gonna end it with this. Okay, growing up, you heard me say that on my best day, nobody's better than me, right? Okay, but the thing that I want everybody also to think about, my mom always told me this: excuses are for losers. If you make an excuse, that means you probably didn't succeed and you had reasons why. Now, people who fall on their face who did not succeed, but get up and still are able to move forward and learn, right? You think about great people on this earth who have said, it's not about winning and losing, it's about watching and learning. I never lose. I only win or I learn. You've heard these great sayings, right? Okay, so that mindset is what you want people to learn. And that's what my mom was trying to tell me, right? Nobody wins and goes, but. Only losers do that. And if that's a loser mentality, that I'm afraid of failure. And I don't like it.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. Trust me when I say this, and I think you know that because I think we've had this conversation multitudes of times, not on a chat. And it's funny because people in the comment right now, they're going back and forth about both topics, and Pine said something. Yeah, tournaments are subjective, 100%. Take those same 3 judges that you won with, switch out one person, and you don't win 100% of the time. That can happen either which way 100% of the time. And I agree. Going to a tournament and having a bad experience be a reason that you can go back and have a better experience next time, because when you have that bad mistake, you want to learn from it, you grow from it. Everyone doesn't have that mindset. Not saying that they should or they shouldn't. It is a job of the instructor and the parents 100% to push it, because no matter how good of an instructor you are, if the parents are not on the same page as you, you, you're fighting uphill battle. And you can tell a parent and the student until you're blue in the face. I have 2 students right now that I pull my hair out every day because they have the ability to be amazing. They're twins. They're like 12 years old, and they are athletic as could be. And sometimes they're the laziest kids. They almost beat 2 of my second degrees in sparring at the last municipal tournament. And it's like, you saw the shining glimmer of like, that's how good you could be. And it's so frustrating. And the parents push it. The kids just don't have that competitive mindset. They're not willing to work.
Make everybody competitive either, though. You know what I'm saying?
Agree. Yeah. And they could care less about going to a tournament competing. And no matter, and because of not because of their skill set, because of their mindset. And I think that's something that no matter how good of an instructor we could be, no matter how many times you can tell them until you're blue in the face, at the end of the day, if it's not in that student to go, and let's say they went to the first tournament, this isn't what happened, but let's say they went to the first tournament at a green belt, had a bad experience, and they said, you know what, I like training, and I just rather continue to train. Fine. And they don't compete again, but maybe they don't want to compete because of a bad experience, but they still want to train. I'm all for that. And I'm not gonna say that they're not competing because they had a bad experience. They just realized, you know what? I enjoy the love of training more than competing.
If that's the excuse, if that's the reason, not excuse, if that's the reason why, competition, I really just don't enjoy it as much. But I mean, at the same time, I would probably tell that same student the lessons that you have learned and myself have learned. And we keep talking about this, how I would be so sick to my stomach, throwing up, crying, and run away from competition. And Turner, you would tell people about so many bad experiences that you learn, but the thing that becomes so big that people watch and look at you and go, wow, Master Turner this, or Master Aguilar that, is because of that hardship that you went through that made it that. I'm not saying that you need to go compete to be a world champion. I'm not saying that makes a martial artist either, because I don't believe it. I don't believe I said that in one of the first episodes either. But I just don't like excuses. And I do believe I want instructors to understand that you cannot solve every problem, though, at the same time.
No, of course not.
But I do want to go down swinging. That's what I want to do. I want to go down.
Yeah, no, 100%.
With my students, whether it's 10, 5, 1, 100, 5,000, right? I want to go swinging for every single one of those kids. I really do. Every single adult, every single, grandparent, every brother, sister, cousin. I want to go down knowing I gave my all and push for them to be individually great, and did not circumvent their greatness because I was afraid that they may have a bad experience.
Yeah, but again, and I don't disagree with you, because I think I teach the same exact thing in which you do and say the same exact concept. Mm-hmm. And that's why we have, this year, it's shocking to me because, again, I think my whole tournament experience and my whole legacy within the ATA is very much based off of, as a competitor, was in the extreme and creative division. And to turn around this year and to see how many students that I have that are in top 10, that I have students that are ranked 1 and 2 in forms and sparring, that shocks me. And I already know that people are like, Turner students are good at forms and sparring? Like, wow, who would have thunk it? He can
I had
teach
somebody
martial
say
arts,
that
not
to
just
me.
do.
Shout
Don't
out
doubt
to I had somebody say that to me. That was like, well, you know what? Master Turner's beat me in sparring plenty of times, so he knows what he's doing.
So again, I think it's one of those things where there's always a fine line. Is I would never only come to me to train in private lessons because you want to compete in a tournament and you don't test and you're only training martial arts to compete. I personally don't want you as a student. I don't ever want to give someone a private lesson who didn't come to class. If you didn't come to the class on Monday and Wednesday to train, and then you want to come to me for a private lesson,
yes,
no, I'm not for that. I'm not for private lesson only training. If you're not taking classes on maybe not even on a daily basis, but on a consistent basis with the idea of becoming a better martial artist, not a better competitor. That's my point. I'd rather have 500 martial artists than 50 or even 100 competitors. Because if your mindset is only purely on based and your reason you're doing martial arts is so you can compete and win, to me, that's not a martial artist. Now, I agree. A tournament also does not determine who's a good or a bad martial artist. We've seen that 100 times. Sometimes the best person doesn't win. And that's just facts.
That's called life.
I agree. But what I'm saying, my whole point to it is I rather have martial artists than competitors. Because you can train a martial artist to compete gracefully, with pride, with dignity, more so than you can teach a competitor to love the martial arts if they're only doing it for the sole purpose of trying to prove that they're better than somebody else at something. When we talk about the essence of martial arts. So that's my last little.
Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of funny that we actually ended up having a very great debate today on or even a talk about that. I think that at the end, though,
we made it to an hour.
All three of us probably really do. Yeah, all three of us actually agree probably maybe on the sole point of that. Back to our original point of the 100 versus 500. As long as I think that Master Turner holds himself to a high standard, Master Aguilar holds himself to a high standard. And I would say the reason why I'm friends with a lot of people in the organization, like the Pines, the Jimmy Goldens, the Romeo Gregory. I'm trying to tell you, I love Mr. Gregory, just because of I see how much the instructor pours into each individual student beyond martial arts. And I thank them. I thank people like that. I do. I really do.
No, 100%. I mean, I said it at nationals when I had a sparring team take second in both team sparring and combat, and I went against your team, the churches. I went against Master Urban's team. I went against Mr. Pine and Mr. Chambers. I mean, the level of competition. I blatantly went to it like, man, you know what? We got some good kids, but let's see if they're ready for what the top and to say, wow, I can't believe I'm standing. My students and myself as an instructor, as a coach, are standing side by side some incredible martial arts and people that I consider friends. And I'm like, man, you know what? I'm doing something right, and my students are growing, and it shows growth. You know what I mean? And it's 100%. It's a testament to competition. Not only I think we compete now on a different sideline. We're not necessarily maybe in the ring all the time competing against each other, but we'll be on the sideline. If you have a student in the ring and I have a student in the ring, we're cheering on each other's student, but we're also looking at our student like, hey, you better beat them because that's Master Swazi's student, or that's Master Turner's student. And we do it all the time. We do it all the time. And again, all the people in the comment section, we all do it. And the people that we know, and it's been a blessing because most of our friends are, and we've been very fortunate to have the top tier competitors and instructors. The people you said, the Jesse Isaacs, the Bobby Erdmans, the Jimmy Goldens, the Romeo Gregory's, the Pines, Scott Benton, all of these people who, Jaron Haynes, are phenomenal competitors, have blessed the next generation and turned over excellent students. And it gives us a chance to compete in a different way. But you know, I agree. Tournaments are a great thing and they're a great learning experience. But at the end of the day, if I had to choose to send a student to compete or not to compete for the sole purpose of just to compete, I don't see that. Now, if they want to compete because they've been training and they're ready to compete and they want to do it, I'm all for it. But to send someone to compete just to compete, no. I agree that life lessons they can learn. I'm not saying they shouldn't do it. I agree that they should. But for the sole purpose of going to compete just to compete, I don't like that. I like, if you want to compete, let's train to compete. Now, whatever experience you have, that's on you. Whatever you put in is what you get out. That's my whole mindset. But I definitely need, we need more of Seal trying to actually Turner. We don't need that. We don't need that anymore. He Mr. Master Swazi's broken enough.
If you've seen the video of me trying to actually Turner, I was just mad because I was losing.
Yeah, you're right.
I was just losing,
you
bro.
need to see more of him trying to act like me, as long as he's not actually hitting me, and I continue to win. We can have a lot more of that as long as he's not hitting me. But no, I mean, it's definitely fun. You know, this has been a very entertaining topic. For those that are still watching, thank you guys for coming over to YouTube with us. Facebook was not working with us. We'll continue to read and figure out what's going on there. But hey, you know, if we just got to keep going live from YouTube, so be it. But if you do have a YouTube channel or you do have a YouTube account, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Help us out here. You know, there's 10 of you, 11 of you watching right now. If all 11 of you subscribe, we could have 11 subscribers.
Great job. All right, guys.
But, you know,
I really appreciate it.
We're signing out. We'll see you guys on Sunday. We're gonna have
a feeling that
guest.
I'm gonna go Instagram live with Master Turner to continue this conversation. So make sure you follow us too. Mine is just at CIELSOLWAZI. And then Master Turner, you can tell them yours.
I don't even know mine. I think it's Master.Turner. It's not that creative.
Yeah, exactly. Mine's just my name, CL Swazi. So yeah. But
really though, on the other side, don't forget the ATA quarantine trick battle. That's gonna be happening.
Check that
Don't
out.
miss that.
All right, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. I appreciate it, Master Aguilar. He said great show today. He said he loved the passion. If you don't know that he has a new daughter, so he does have to take care of
Hey,
she's
we got
beautiful.
a new subscriber.
Yeah. All right, and then thank you, Master Turner, for figuring it out and moving it to YouTube. Send me the link later, and I'll post it up on my page.
All right, you guys. Signing out.
Right.
Sparring Words episode 4/14,000 after all the tries.